There's a bee theme going on in today's video, and I'm going to show you how you guys can put together your June craft clubs. Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. If you guys are new here, my name's Liz, and if you guys didn't know, I have a monthly subscription box where every single month you can get DIY craft kits to paint, put together, and make your own. So without further ado, let's jump in. For box 1, 2, and 3, you are going to receive this bee truck kit. For box 2 and 3, you'll get this 6x6 paper pad with a bunch of bee themed inspired paper for you to use with this kit or any other kind of projects that you may have going on. And then just to show you all the pieces that come with this kit, I'm going to start by painting my truck with the silver lining chalk paint from Waverly. I'm going to give the entire thing one good coat minus the tires and the insides of those mirrors. For my tires, I'm just going to use some black chalk paint, and then for the insides of those mirrors, I'm going to use my Waverly chalk paint in white. Now I wanted my truck to look a little bit old, rusted, kind of dirty, and to do that I'm going to take my Waverly Wax and Antique and I'm going to take that on a chip brush, kind of dry brush around the entire truck and then drag my brush throughout the middle, again just to give it a more of a rusted, dirty kind of look. I wanted this truck to look old and worn, so to do that I just used my Waverly Wax and Antique. Now for the bed rails, I'm going to use that same Waverly Wax and Antique and use it like you would a stain. You do not have to paint this back piece like I'm showing you here since it is going to be covered up, but you can just in case if you want to. I did on mine, but it isn't necessary. I'm going to take this COUTURE paste in Bumblebee. I added a little bit of water to it. I didn't have any regular paint that was this yellow, and so just by adding a little bit of water to it, you can use this like you would a regular paint. And I am going to paint the Buzz license plate and then the Bees at Work tailgate with this yellow. I just carefully went around the engravings and painted the rest of that yellow. Now I'm going to take that same yellow and with my honey jars, with the jar with the dripping honey, I am going to carefully just go around that. Try my best not to get the paint in the engravings. If you do, you can always take a pointed object and kind of scrape the paint out, but I just like to take my time and carefully go around that. Now another thing that you can do if you are trying to be careful, especially with these little details like this bee, you can either use a really small paintbrush or you can use markers like you see here. So I like using the Arteza paint pens and I am going to use the black one for the bee. And then another marker that works really well is this white marker that you can actually pick up from the Dollar Tree. And I use this on a lot of my projects. So I just use that to fill in the bee's wings. And then I'm taking a green and a small detail paintbrush to go around the bee on that jar, as well as the top portion of this jar. I'm going to use that same green color. I believe it's called Aloe from Americana. And I'm going to give the top of that jar one good coat. Now I'm going to take my 6x6 paper pad. I'm picking out 3 different designs from here and I'm going to cut out pieces for my jars. Now when I do this, I take my time. I cut for quite a while to get them to look the way that I want them to try to match up the honey drips and everything else. So if you want to put scrapbook paper on your honey jars, just take your time with it and try to get it as close to the honey drips or the top portions of your jar as best as you can. There's no right or wrong way to do it though. However you do it is going to look great. So I just tried my best to match up my drips to my paper and cut them out. Now to adhere my paper to my honey jars, I am taking some Mod Podge and I am placing that Mod Podge anywhere that my paper is going to be. I'm also going to put some paper on the back bumper, so I also cut paper out for that, added Mod Podge onto there, and I'm going to let that Mod Podge completely dry. Once it's all dried, I'm going to add my paper onto my pieces, and then I'll place a piece of parchment paper on top. Then using my mini Cricut heat press on all the way high. I am going to go over that paper, and what it's doing is reactivating that Mod Podge and allowing that paper to stick to it without the paper getting all wrinkly. I'm typically not a fan of using Mod Podge, but since I've been doing this method, I have been using it all the time, and it really works well to keep your projects wrinkle free and makes it less frustrating to adhere paper to your projects, or tissue paper even. I find this method works really, really well. I'm going to start assembling my truck. I like using the wood glue super glue that you can get from the Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to start putting everything together. So I'm putting that back bumper on there. I'm going to add some glue to both of those tail lights and place those right on there. There's engravings so you can see exactly where everything needs to go. So where your tail lights need to go and your back bumper, and then as well as those bed rails. You're going to put that bed rail with only one rail down first. Now, if you did put paper on top of your honey jars, you are going to want to make sure that you add your honey jars first before you add your top bed rail down. That's because the paper is adding a little bit more height to it, and you're not going to really be able to slide those jars down inside there very easily. So if you didn't add paper, no worries. You can add your bed rail down first and then just move your honey jars in and out whenever you want to. But if you did add paper, I would suggest gluing the honey jars down first and then adding that second bed rail on top. Now to finish off, I'm just taking a black paint pen and kind of adding little fun details around the piece, little squiggly lines here and there. I think it's fun just to add a little bit more cutesiness, a little bit more definition to your projects, kind of take them from plain to fun, and I just had fun with it and kind of added them everywhere. And that's it for your Bees at Work project. I think that this turns out so adorable, and I love that you can make this any way that you want it. You can paint it to match your own home decor, your own style. There are so many different ways to customize this piece to your liking, and it is one of my favorites. I'm partial to bees. I absolutely love them in home decor. So again, this comes in box 1, 2, and 3.
So like I mentioned before, there are 3 different box options. This kit comes in box 1, 2, and 3. Box 2 and 3 also come with a 6x6 24-page scrapbook paper pad that you can use for your craft kits that you get from me, or you can use them for any other kind of projects that you're working on. For box 3, you're also going to receive a nether kit and 2 accessory items. So this is what box 3's kits look like. I think it's absolutely adorable. And then for your accessory items, you're going to be getting a stencil and a bee themed ephemera pack. Now let's go ahead and jump in, and I'm going to show you how you can paint and assemble box number 3.
Jumping into box number 3, this is that extra kit that you will get along with the 2 accessory items, which is a stencil and some bee themed ephemera. So to get started, I'm just showing you all the pieces that come with this kit. Some florals, some bees, and a hive. I love this one so much. I'm going to start out by painting the backing with my Waverly chalk paint in white, and I'm just making sure that I don't get any paint into those engraved lines. If you do, it's really no problem. It's personal preference. I personally like having them stand out with that brown engraved color, so I do my best to go around those lines to not get paint in them. Next, I'm going to take my stencil that will come with your box number 3 kit, and I'm going to put on some metallic gold paint. Now the trick to stencils is the less paint on your brush the better, so I am going to do kind of more of a dry brush type technique on this. So I'm dabbing my paint in the brush, and then I am wiping off a bunch of that paint onto my paper plate, and then going back in on the stencil, doing up and down dabbing motions. I also tried to stay away from any of the corners or the sides with the stencil so I didn't have any harsh lines, and the stencil looked more realistic in a way. I also taped my stencil down to keep it moving all around, and I just did this in 2 different spots. You could do this anywhere that you wanted to kind of spread this out onto your piece. You don't even have to do it on this piece, but I think that this added such a fun texture and detail to this piece. Next, I'm going to start by painting the florals and the greenery on the floral pieces. I'm going to use some aloe green paint from Americana, and I'm going to use that on all of the leaves on all 3 of my floral pieces. Now for some of the flowers, I'm going to take my COUTURE paste in eggshell blue, add a little bit of water to it, and then go on those flowers. I like the mixture to be a little bit more watery. That way when I'm painting these flowers, the paint isn't filling up all those engraved lines, and you can actually see the engraved details after you've painted. Now I took a couple different shades of yellow, one a deeper kind of more mustard yellow and the other one more of like a bumblebee yellow, and I am going to paint the other flowers, both of those 2 colors. I did the outside of the flower in that mustard and then the middle portion of the flower in that lighter bumblebee yellow. The flowers that you're going to glue on top, I also did a mixture between those 2 yellows. I kind of just played with the colors back and forth, kind of blended them together so that they weren't just one flat color. For my hive, I went in with the more mustard yellow and painted that entire thing again, trying to avoid those engraved lines, but if you get paint in them, you can always, like I said, use a pointed tool to scrape that paint out. I used my paint pen to color in the beehive door, if you will, and then use some paint pens to color all of my little bees. So I have some paint pens from Arteza. I used the yellow one for the yellow stripes, and then the black for all of the black stripes, and then the Dollar Tree marker for all of their wings. I love adding little detail work here and there to my pieces, so I'm taking a very detailed paintbrush with a little bit of black chalk paint, and I'm adding little lines and slashes all over the leaves, just again to give it some more detail. I also went all over all of the flowers and did little detail work on those as well. Next, I will begin assembling my piece, again just using that wood glue super glue from the Dollar Tree. I'm going to place my shorter flower piece on the very top, and then your 2 flower pieces are the exact same. You can just put them on either side. It's not going to matter which side they go on, and then your beehive will go in the middle, and then you're able to put your bees really wherever you want. So I placed a couple of mine on top of my hive, and then I placed the others around my sign. And that's all you got to do for this piece. I think this looks so beautiful. I love it paired with my other bee decor in my home. My front entryway is currently all bee themed, and I think this adds such a beautiful piece to my front entryway table. I feel like it's a very elegant and classy type of sign without being too cutesy, and it just matches perfectly. Let me know if you've got box number 3, and I'd love to see pictures of your finished pieces.
And that's it for today's video. I hope this was helpful in giving you some inspiration on how you can finish your June Craft Club kits. Now keep in mind, these kits are only available for June, so if you're not signed up and you want to snag these, make sure you sign up before the end of June. I'll have my link to my website listed down below so that you can find our monthly subscription box and all the other amazing things that we offer on our website. So many fun kits, so many fun decor items and tumblers and paper, all the things. I also have a new mystery box for our 12 by 12 scrapbook paper pages. So if you're interested in that, I will also leave that linked down below. Again, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to subscribe before you leave. Give this video a big thumbs up if you did enjoy it, and I will see you in my next one. Bye.